Hi, and welcome to our next community NPT reformer class. So like the other classes we've done, I'm still recovering from having my second baby 6 months ago. So I'm not able to hold my legs at tabletop and pull on load as we would usually do in the abdominal category. So I've made a couple of changes to programming there. So hopefully you enjoy coming along this journey with me of building abdominal strength. All right, so we're going to begin by standing up and doing some roll downs. So let's find a hip distance alignment feet. Sorry, my head's cut off. Arms relax down by our sides. Taking a breath in. Breathe out, let the head tip forwards. And then begin to roll through the upper back, through the ribs. Heavy arms, heavy head. At the end of the range, we've still got that scoop up of the lower belly, so my lower back is round. Take a breath in, breathe out, begin to roll back up. Pelvis comes back on top of legs, ribs back on top of pelvis, shoulders, neck. Here we go again, breath in. Breathe out, rolling down. Mobilize through the upper back. Think about the weight distribution through your feet. So big toe, little toe, heel. As you roll down, can that stay pretty much the same? So don't roll and sit back into our heels too much. Take a breath in at the bottom. Exhale, begin scooping up through the lower belly. The sit bones start to reach down towards the floor, to the heels. The spine restacks back up. Let's do one more. Breathing in, feel like you get a little bit taller. Exhale, head nods down. Puff between the shoulder blades so we can get that articulation through the upper back. Long lengthened legs without locking back into the knees. I stretch through the back line of the body. Take a breath in. Breathe out, roll up. And then coming down onto the reformer. So I'm going to go with 2 reds and a blue. My blueprint springs for my leg and footwork. And let's have a lay down onto our back. Find your semi-supine position. So weight through the head, weight through ribs, weight through pelvis. Maybe a slight lightness through your lower back, depending on what your curvature is like. Finding the ankles, feet on the foot bar, so ankle in line with knees, knees in line with hips. Bring the hands onto the lower belly. Take a moment to sink, to rest. Feel free to close your eyes. Let's do a few belly breaths. As we inhale, the torso, chest, abdominal wall fills. As we exhale, abdominal wall drops. Air exits the body. Feel like you get a little bit more weight. Let's do that again. Breathing in. Breathing out. With each inhale, maybe you can take a little bit longer, a little bit fuller. With each exhale, control it a little slower. One more. Into our lateral breathing, bringing our hands up to the side ribs. No air going into the chest this time or into the lower belly too much. Feel like you can direct it down low and wide into the side of the rib. Inhale. Exhale, the ribs glide back towards each other. Breathe in. Breath out. It's potentially a smaller inhale than it was when you did the belly breath. But it's a full exhale. Last practice. I'm going to come to sitting now. I'm going to do a modified roll up, gaining my strength back. I'm going to use my hands, but you can always roll onto your side to return. So I'm nodding my head up. And then exhale, rolling up through the spine to sit. We're going to come into a cross-legged position and do some breathing into the posterior lateral ribs. I'm going to bring my hands onto my foot bar here. And it's mimicking a bit later when we go into the chest lift shape with our arms. So fingertips just touching, finding sort of round shape of the spine. So similar to a cat. So head's nodded forwards, thoracic rib cage is curved, lower back is curved, and I'm feeling like I'm imprinting. So my sit bones drawing towards each other. And now the focus of my breath is traveling into the backs and sides of the ribs on the inhale. And on the exhale, I'm trying to wrap and knit through the abdominal wall through my lower belly. As we inhale, trying to hold that turn in your lower abdominals. And then exhale, try and narrow, follow, connect a little more. Breath in. Ease the tension in the neck, shoulders. Exhale, wrap. Breathing in. Maintaining the abdominal connection. Increase it a little bit more on your exhale. Keep thinking imprint, last practice. And roll the spine up. So hopefully that's awoken a little bit of that abdominal connection. We'll use it when we get into the abdominal category a bit later on. I'm going to roll myself back down, lining my pubic bone up with the center middle spring, using my hands as feedback as I'm still working back through my abdominal strength, imprinting, rolling the spine down, adjusting my shoulder position, and bringing the feet back onto the foot bar. So back into our ankles, knees, hips alignment. I'm going to go into a few imprints and pelvic curls. Take a moment to print the start position. That corkscrew feeling of the thigh to the back of the hip, the long outstretched arms. Take your breath into your side ribs one more time. This time as you exhale, hollow the belly, dropping it down towards the floor. Tip the tail under. Just enough to flatten the lower back to the floor. It might not look like a really big movement. Inhale, return back to neutral. Just watch that the ribs don't come off. And we go again. Exhale, imprint. Inhale to return. The gentle, subtle roll rock under of the pelvis. The controlled back return to neutral without going too far. Last imprint. Back to neutral. Here we go, our first pelvic curl. Passing through the imprint. And then start to roll up that little bit higher. Back of hips, sit bones wrapping towards each other. The pelvis peels away. The spine peels away. We come to rest on the shoulder blade area. That sense of knees really stretching forwards. Take a breath in. And I want you to think about this image as we roll down, that the ribs are rolling, sliding up your back. Does that help you to get those ribs moving in the downward phase? Pass through the imprint back to our neutral. Carry just staying still the whole time. We go again, breath in. Exhale, tip the pelvis under. That connection of the foot into the foot bar connects up into the back of the hip. We roll the pelvis, the spine away. The sense of length through head, through spine, through hips, through thighs, through knees, breath in. Exhale, imagine the ribs rolling up your back to tumble back down. Pass through the imprint. You might like to check you've got that nice abdominal hollow. Back to neutral pelvis. One last practice, we stay at the top. Exhale, tip under. Roll. Adding a challenge to our centering, to our pelvic stability. Here we're going to do a single leg lift. I'm going to press a little stronger through my right foot, connecting my right hip, and exhale, float my left leg into our single leg lift. Inhale, controlling the return back. See if I can find the foot bar. And go again. Establish the position of the pelvis. Left foot, left back hip connects. Floating the right. Return back down. 2 more each side. Print the connection. Float. Return. One more each way. Marriage to stay right in at home. Pause at the top. Check your pelvis is level. Ribs roll up your back as you lay back. Return to neutral. If you need to, you can pop your headrest up or bring your head cushion in. We're going into our leg and footwork. Take a moment to find the heels on the foot bar. That feeling of pulse through into the back of the hip. Already aware of the muscles around the seat. We take our breath in. Exhale. Lift the seat muscles away. Knees draw up. Inhale, return. Exhale. And we come back. So we're maintaining the stability of the pelvis and spine. Working on the alignment of the ankle, knee, hip. Trying to make sure that the pelvis, lower back don't change. One more on our heels. Sliding down to the toes. All 5 toes connected. Heel in a little lift. Ankle opens as we press out. Ankle flexes as we come back. The sole of the foot tries to stay very still. Activating through the seat muscles, knees pull up. Use the seat muscles to pull through. Exhale. 2 more on our toes. Put the heels together into the V. We're still in our toe position. That external spiral into the back of the hip, potentially a little bit trickier in keeping neutral pelvis. Engage a little bit more centering if needed. Exhale. Heels staying put together. Inner thighs drawing up. 3 more. And onto our heels, wide position. All the way up with the heels. Knees a little further open. Getting maybe a slight groin stretch. Potentially get a bit more challenging to keep pelvic stability. Check into it. Exhale. So we've got suspension, length through the spine. The springs are causing us to compress. Last 2. Find a position for our doubles. Wide toes. Again, that little heel raise, try not to let the heel drop. Stretch away from the sole of the foot. Control the return. Watching that the back ribs are nice and heavy. Last 2. And done. Bring the toes back into parallel. You might like to put a little ball between your ankles if you need some feedback for your foot ankle alignment. Press away. Knee muscles drawn up, our neutral pelvis, into our calf rises. Heels reach underneath the bar and press back. Use your inhale to lower and your exhale to rise back up. When we rise up, think about using the toes, the sole of the foot, the back of the calf, the back of the leg, hamstring, glute, sending the top of the head away in opposition, and keep that full pull up of the legs, even on your lower. Check both the hips are open. Let's do about 5 more. Last one, stay up. Let's go into our prances. Might pop our hands onto the side of our hips. So here the hands hold onto your sort of hip bones, fingertips direct down onto your thigh. And as you're going through your prances, breathing in for 2, breathing out for 2, just check that there's not too much push through the hip out into your hands. So really keeping the pelvis, hips centralized as we work unilaterally through the legs. Keep that feeling of spine reaching away, leg through our waist. Let's do about 4 more. Calves, ankles definitely feeling it now. And we'll return home. Going into single leg, I'm going to keep my 2.5 springs on. You could take a half spring off if you like. Single heels. So leaving my left leg on the foot bar, floating my right leg, I'm going to have the foot dorsiflexed. Even though this leg isn't moving, feel like you've printed and connected that leg right up into the hip. We exhale, press into the leg that's on the foot bar, knee drawing up. Inhale, return. So you should my foot down a bit. Exhale, press. And we come. So challenging now on our pelvic stability. Little ankle crack. You'll hear that from me potentially quite often. Last one. Replace the foot down. Good. Establish the alignment of our supporting leg. Float our working leg. Printing that connection into the back of the hip. Exhale, press. Last 2. And carriage draws in. Now we're going to go back to our first bit and do our single heels with extension. You may like to bring a TheraBand in for the leg that's going to be the open chain if you're a little challenged with hamstring length. Otherwise, same starting position. We take our breath in. As we press away with our leg on the foot bar, the other leg is going to extend to the ceiling. Now just pause here for a moment and print. Can you have the sense of the heel reaching up and then in the opposition, the thigh pulling down? You can imagine that on the foot bar as well. The heel reaching out, the thigh pulling in. As we return, the thigh stays quite still and you just flex at the knee. Let's go again. Exhale to press. Coordination. The 2 legs straightening and bending at the same time. Great. Let's take 2 more. That challenge of pelvic stability, that challenge that the lower back doesn't drop down with the extension of the leg. Return back home, switching sides. Take a moment to print. I'm a little bit more challenged in my stability through my pelvis on this side. Exhale to reach. Take a moment. Allow the lengthening of the hamstring. Check into pelvis, lower back. We return. Press. Let's take 2 more. And return. Put back down onto the foot bar, rolling yourself up. Okay, so we're going to go into abdominals. Let's change the springs to 1.5. So I'm going to put on one red, one blue. I'm not going to use the springs for abdominals, but it will be for leg strap work, which will come afterwards. The flows, so I don't have to get up and change. I'm going to use the tube ball as an assist to help my chest position. Can be a little bit awkward getting in. So I'm going to pop the tube ball into the middle of the bed. I'm going to roll myself down to get sort of between my, come down a little bit, shoulder blades, between shoulder blades on the tube ball. Yeah, that feels good. All right, bringing the legs up onto the foot bar, finding a close to neutral pelvis position. That again sends the thighs drawing down into the back of the hip. And I'm taking my hands behind my head. So this is like my chest lift free position really, with my feet up on the foot bar. I'm not resting on the tube ball. I'm having that sense of drawing the front ribs together and down towards the pelvis. So really engaged through abdominals, but this is assisting my abdominal connection here. And so we're just staying here and breathing. Inhaling into the side ribs. Exhale, deepening into the lower belly. Remember back to the seated breathing that we did in the warm-up. So I've got that sense of reaching out through my elbows and wide across my upper back. I am closed across my front chest, but I can be in flexion. Breathing in without releasing too much through the abdominal wall. Exhaling, trying to deepen. That sense of 360-degree rack in. One more just like this, breath in. Breathing in. Adding some challenge, floating my first leg up, single leg. One more. Replace the foot down. Other side. You can really connect into the supporting foot. Float the other leg away. 2 breaths. Place down. You can either repeat that, or I'm going to add that a little bit more challenge again, stretching the leg out, not too low. If I go too low, I know I'm going to pop. So finding an appropriate height, 2 breaths here. Keep reaching out through the top of the skull, drawing that belly button deep. Bend the knee, replace the foot back down. Other side, finding the appropriate leg stretched out, or you can keep it bent, 2 breaths. Draw in, and I'm cooked. I'm gonna roll my spine up, take the ball, and there's our abdominals, roll back down. Okay, feet back up into the foot bar, going into our leg straps. So I've got my long loops, press away with 2 straight legs, one foot goes in, finding the strap, second foot in. And I'm just going to take a moment, I'm going to press away and find that height of my legs where I feel balance between the anterior hip and the posterior hip. Got my neutral pelvis, the balance between the front and back wall, printing of the arms down by the sides. Ribs are heavy, you can have your head rest up if needed. Let's go into our little frogs. Breathe in and bend the knees. IOB to keep the suspension length through the spine. And then exhale, pressing into the back of the hip and pairing it with that lower abdominal connection. Breathe into bend. And we press. Heels flip together. As we stretch out, finding that zip up through the inner leg. Let's do about 3 more. Checking in, no change through lower back or pelvis. So hip disassociation. Last one. I'm going to reach my legs up towards the ceiling, somewhere where I can maintain neutral pelvis and spine. My legs are still in the external rotation. We're going into high openings where the carriage doesn't move. Inhale, sending the legs out. Exhaling, continue to find that external wrap. The inner thighs drawing towards each other. Close. Inhale, we open. Exhale, we close. Often a favorite for many people, the inner thigh stretch. Last opening is high. A little bit more challenging now on the abdominal load. Press the legs down low. Openings low. The carriage will move as the legs open. Careful that they are connected into the back of the hips, so not just hanging in the joint. And then exhale, press the legs towards the foot bar, send the head away in the opposite direction. Breathing in to open, checking pelvic stability. Exhale, we press. Let's do 2 more. Lucky last. So your range of movement is dependent on that control, that stability of our pelvis and the spine. Bend your knees, 1 foot finds the foot bar, 2nd foot finds the foot bar, and we come in. So spinal articulation today, we're going to do a preparation for semicircle, which is an intermediate level exercise. But this is like a pelvic curl variation. That's a nice one that eventually leads to semicircle. So I'm going to be in my V position on my toes. I'm being mean and keeping it on my 1 red, 1 blue. You can add an additional red if you need. I like the extra challenge on the hamstrings. So in our little V position, heels flip together. Taking a breath in, but pelvic curling, trying to maintain the stillness of the carriage. That's how we roll up. Nice open hip position, but I have got that connection through my abdominals here. So it's been the push from my back and hip, not too much from my lower back. We're going to press out about 3/4 of the way. The knees will still be a little bit bent. And then we're going to work on that roll down of the spine. Through our imprint, back to our neutral pelvis, and the carriage returns back in. We go again. Exhale to imprint. Roll. Open the front of the hip. Still maintaining the control through our turned out position. 3/4 of the way press. And then those ribs rolling up your back to lower. Finding the imprint back to neutral pelvis, return in. Let's do 1 more this way. Close back in, let's reverse it. Press out 3/4 of the way. Tricky here, imprinting, curling up without that carriage. Moving. Pull the carriage home. Oh, hello, hamstrings. Roll it down. Press out 3/4 of the way, breath in. Exhale, tumble, roll the spine up. Pull the carriage home, heels still clip together. Roll the spine down. Stable through arms, shoulders, head, neck. Last practice. And rest. Okay, let's roll off to the side. And then we're going to go into our hip flexion 1. So I'm going to keep it on my red and blue and going into a knee stretch. So knee stretch round, knee stretch flat. Tucking the toes under against the shoulder rest, finding the cat back position. Now we can think about, this is really similar to the breathing practice, again, we did at the start. So my hands pressing in, wrist, elbow, shoulder connected into trunk, spine curled from head all the way through to the imprint of my pelvis. Pressing into the feet, activating through the back of the hip to send the carriage away, trying to maintain that curved position, and then exhale, pull the carriage back in. Let's do a couple of slow practices. Inhale, press. Try not to change that lower rounded back position. Exhale. One more slow practice. And pull. And then a really fun, good challenge here, going quite a bit quicker, and see if you can still maintain that lower back position, and particularly the arm strength. Here we go. And last two. Sometimes it's a bit easier to understand the stability of the spine when you're going that little bit quicker. Okay, we're going for our flat back position. Again, hand press in, we connect to the shoulder, spine on from our head to tail. Think about your butt cheeks, sit bones being nice and wide here. Press into the feet, sending the carriage back. Try not to let the lower back round now. Exhale, pull the carriage in. Inhale, press back. Exhale, pull through. One more practice. And pull. And see if we can go now that a little bit faster for that stability challenge. Here we go. And pull. Last two. Oh, hello, guys. All right, we're going to stand up into our elephant. And bring my feet a little bit closer. And really find a round position. So again, going with the theme that we've been working on today on that round curved spine position, and does that help us find that knit up into the abdominal? You could drop this to a red if needed. So pressing into the hands, finding the curved spine, finding the long lengthened legs. Again, this is a little bit like our roll down position we found at the start. Big toe, little toe heel equally weighted. You're going to press back the carriage, keeping my round lower back breathing, and exhale. Feel like you suspend the belly button higher up to the ceiling, lift the pelvis off the legs, return. Inhale, we press. Exhale. Try not to lose that shoulder connection on the push-pull. Last two. And rest. Coming down. We're going to go into a kneeling lunge with a slight modification through the front foot. So instead of putting it all the way up on the foot bar, I'm just going to use my leg. So this could be a good change for someone that isn't quite as flexible. Again, I'm going to keep my red and blue, but you could drop it down to a red. So one foot tucked under on the shoulder rest, other foot toe is going to find the ledge. To start with, I'm going to have probably just my fingertips touching. I'm going to press the carriage away slightly. I'm beginning to get that nice opening through my back hip flexor. And then I'm going to go out into the hamstring stretch. So pressing the heels of the hands into the foot bar, straightening out the front leg, pushing into that back foot to keep the glute active. Hamstring stretch. Pull the carriage home. We go again. Little press. Enjoying that stretch opening for the left hip flexor. And then into part two, hamstring stretch. Press into the heel of the hands, into the foot that travels back, into our hamstring stretch. Trying to find that alignment through the spine. Pull the carriage in. And then we'll go the other side. Back toe tucked under. Foot on the ledge. As square as we can through the pelvis. So that's definitely going to help if you bring the foot down. A bit more challenging when you've got the foot up. To square the pelvis off as much as possible. So slight press back, opening out that right hip flexor. That feeling of imprint. Part two, hamstring stretch. Press into the heel of the hand. Push into the foot that's on the shoulder rest. Pull back. One more. Breathing in and out here. That sense of space once more through our spine. Part two, hamstring stretch. Think about head and neck alignment. Definitely challenging to work out where you are in space without that feedback of lying down on the mat. And pull back home. Okay, we're going to go into arm press. Again, I'm going to keep my red and blue. And again, I'm going to keep my toes tucked under. Press the fingertips towards each other so the palms are facing in. And then send your sap out almost into like a rest position. So as flat a back position as possible. Think about the front ribs still staying connected in. Bending the elbows wide to bring the carriage home. Exhale, press away. Bending, elbows wide, collarbones wide. Press away. Drawing the carriage in. Now actually I feel like I need a little bit more challenge here. I'm going to have 2 red dots and repeat a few more times. Press away. Drawing back. Checking head neck alignment. Checking front rib connection. As you press away from that connection, shoulder into trunk. Let's do one more. Pull back home. Now I'm going to go back to my 1.5. You could also drop down into a 1. Bring one arm out to the side. Single arm. Press. Trying to avoid rotating. Through the head, neck, shoulder, trunk. 2 more. And place the hand on. Come out to the other side. The arm that's out to the side, feel like you're really stretching the fingertips away from the midline of your body. Bend the elbow in, exhale. Avoiding the front rib, flaring, dropping. Last one. And bring the carriage in. Okay, let's go into chest expansion. I'm going to have this one red spring on. And turn around and face towards the risers. Now just be careful, the springs are a little bit lighter, so just as you're gathering up your straps and coming up to your kneeling position, just being aware that you've got your balance. Now, we have long fingertips. Just take a moment to print here. So knees pressing down, finding our neutral pelvis position here. Really tricky. If there's any tightness through the front of the hips, like we did our kneeling lunge beforehand, hey? Long fingertips and drawing the arm up into the trunk. We're going to take a breath in, draw the arms to the side of the body while still inhaling. Spiral the head to one side, spiral the head to the other. Exhale, return the head back to the center, release the arms. We go again. Inhale, pull on the straps. Puff between the shoulder blades, we're nice and wide. Head spirals, you can go the other side. Alternating which way you go. And back, here we go again, breathing in. And we go, head turn, head turn. Exhale. Breath in. Head spirals. And back. So we should have quite a free and easy neck movement here. Because we haven't taken too much tension through the neck muscles. Watch we're not flaring through the front ribs. Let's do one more. And release off. Carefully placing the straps down. And I'm going to go into a side reach to finish off. I'm going to keep my red spring. You could drop it to just a blue if needed, if you're still working on that shoulder connection. So sitting in a Z-sit shape, hand is just slightly forward of the shoulder in the scapular plane. We're going to press the carriage out to our T position. Carriage stays still now, top palm rotates, and then we're going to begin to side bend over a little bit more, opening up the space on those top ribs. Underneath waist is still staying active. back to the T shape, come back in. Now, nice little variation here. Grab hold of the front shoulder rest, bring the other arm up, side bend the other way. And I feel like you've really got to lift up and out of the waist. You come back, two hands are going above the head in a little sort of, what's that, star-ish position. And then I'm going to twist towards the risers and come back. Might not feel like you've got a lot of range there, but nice to get that rotation in. Let's go again. Tip out to the side, and we exhale. Tip that a little bit further without the carriage moving. Back to our T, come back in. Reach the other arm up, lifting the spine, up and out of our leggings. Come back, two hands above the head. Spiral twist to the risers. Return back. Let's do that one more time. And rest for that side. Turn yourself around. Finding our setup. Hand again, just slightly forward of the shoulder. Think about when we press out that you've got that connection underneath the shoulder blade, so the front of the shoulder doesn't travel forwards. So I'm finding that underneath to press out to my T. Side to group. Back to the T, return back in. Reach the other arm up. Lift up and out. So not compressing or crunching through the underneath side, but more like really trying to gain extra space through the top side. Two hands above the head. Lift it out of the waist. Finding our spiral. Probably won't go very far. Keep a focus through the ribs, not too much through the shoulders. And we come back. Two hands above the head, lifting up out of the waist. Try and draw, it's my right ribs I'm trying to draw forwards to the wall in front of me. And come back. Last practice. Side tip. Giving a good underneath shoulder connection. Top ribs open. Return to carriage home. Little lift up and out of the waist for the second side. Come back. Two hands above the head, watch there's not too much elevation through our shoulders here. Spiraling through the ribs. Throw my right ribs forward. Come back to the center and rest. And then just bring yourself up to stand. Feet hip distance apart. Take a moment, see how we feel there. Should we do one more roll down? Compare it to how we started. Breathing in, breathing out, head tips down. Puff through that upper back. Think about finding that same C curve shape. And then maybe taking that a little bit further. Weight still even, big toe heels. Breath there. Breathing out, roll back up. I can feel the work we've done in our legs. I feel that nice sense of support through my abdominal wall. And a good amount of space through my spine. Hope you're feeling that too. See you next time.